right, settle it down just a little bit. I don't keep really down for long, but you got to get a point across because life hit hard. And so we had the date, You Light Up My Life, which became #1 forever. And then the party on my birthday weekend, September, and then the following week on Thursday, September 29th. That's where it happened. And she was in a wreck, and there doesn't need to be a whole lot said. I get a call on Friday morning. It was a Thursday night. There was a car of 4, and they were on their way to work on a homecoming float. And on the way home, they got in, car slid off the road, and they rolled over, and Laura was thrown, and she was the only one injured in the car. And her best friend Nora was with her, and I know one other, and the driver has lived that day every single day of his life, I'm sure. So it's irrelevant. It's not irrelevant, but it's needless detail at this point for what's going to be, how this is going to be portrayed. And so Nora, her best friend, was in the car, and she was uninjured, but Laura was the only one, and she had internal bleeding, and she was taken to Sherman Hospital, and she died there. And so that was Thursday night. Friday morning, I get a call from Rich. It was 7:30, and I say, hello? He goes, it's Craig. Laura's dead. And that was it. And I don't know if it was, are you going to school or what, but it was like, Laura's dead, okay. And so that doesn't sink in. Yeah, I mean, those aren't words that you even know yet. So we go to school, and at this point I don't have my card, so I don't know how I got to school. There's no way I took a bus. But, so you go to school, and there's this weird, like, something happened, but we don't know happened in the air. And, that's when you walk in, 8 o'clock or 8:30, whenever it started. It was like, something's weird, something's amiss, but we don't know what it is. But I know what it was. And throughout the day, you're waiting for this announcement. Oh, last night there was this accident, and so, and unfortunately, I'm going to lose it. And so I'm waiting for this or some type of confirmation, or is this a joke? And obviously it's no joke. Craig would never do that. But it was just this weird, what's going on, people? And throughout the whole day, nothing. No acknowledgement, no PA announcement. I mean, even Mr. Stubing, who had an S like that when he read the Daily Bulletin, even he didn't say anything in the report. So it was, eventually, I imagine by afternoon, we were kind of like, geez, but the thing is, no one really tied her and I together. I mean, Rich did, and Craig did, and Nora, and Craig's sister, Renee. Those guys knew that Laura and I were kind of a thing. But no one else really knew. They knew Laura. And so then eventually that kind of worked into someone died, and it was that girl, and she was a pom-pom girl. And I'm going to say the funeral was on Sunday because it wasn't during the week, and it wasn't Saturday, so it had to have been Sunday. And so we go to the funeral. I have no idea where the funeral was, but this is where, oh, that's too close. I didn't mean to do that. But that's where she was at. And the reason I know that is because that's where I was, as it says, at least 3 times a week. At least 3 times. I just go there. You go there, you think back, it's like, what, did I lose $1 in trying to I don't know. But I had to go there. And it's just, The further I got away, it was just like, oh, I gotta feel good. I feel good. I mean, I feel miserable, but I can't. Doesn't feel right. Doesn't feel right. Ugh. So, yeah, I don't know why I'm saying this, but it was just too soon in the way it did, and even though there was nothing there, there was a million things there. So, I don't know. I don't want to drag this on more than need be, but oh my God, that was in. And here's how bad it got. Where I got reckless. I got so reckless. And get on this road here is feeder. The high school's here. So, okay, what's the problem with that being a difficult thing to achieve? And so I'd go across here, and one time, for whatever reason, it was in the winter, and I gunned it. I gunned it across this thing, and I spun around. I ended up in the ditch over here. And I don't know what's there. I just ended up in one of these people's yards or something. And going around this curve here, I was just like, boom. I didn't hit anything, but it was just how impulsively destructive I was getting. And I don't know. I just found solace just going there and sit in the car and, I mean, hours. We'll just leave it at that. This is just bad, man. You don't need to go through. And this is how, well, we'll just tack that on. So hold that wonderful thought. So we got that. So what happens not a week later? I'm taking Craig home one day. I apologize because I told a little bit of the story wrong. That I didn't do the driving on the sidewalk until after all this because this happened. I was bringing Craig home after school. So I was still driving to school. So I just wanted to clear that up because that makes more sense. I was more destructive afterwards, and that's why I drove on the sidewalk because, well, it just makes more sense. So this is where Craig lived. And Craig was probably my first close friend. Then Rich, and then others kind of migrated into my inner circle and stuff. I was only part of other people's circles. So I was driving Craig home, and this is Jefferson. And we're going home Friday afternoon, goofing off. We're coming down. And then all of a sudden, this ambulance flies around us. And I've got Volkswagen. And it's like, what's going on? And we see this ambulance. We get about here, a little bit further back, and the ambulance turns in right here. And that's Craig's house. And we're like, what the? And so we get here, and then we stop, and we're right here. Honestly, God, we're right here. And the paramedics are here, and there's this body covered with a white sheet, and the feet are sticking up, and Renee's in hysterics. His mother, she's crying in hysterics, and all you see are these feet, and it's like, oh my God! And Craig tore out, and I like disappeared. It's like can't even imagine what was going on. But I remember seeing them in hysterics, and his words were, I bet it's Mason. Because he thought something might have happened to Mason. Mason was his little brother. And as it turned out, Dr. Wolf was a dentist. And he was up on his roof cleaning these gutters. And he fell off. And, oh, God. Yeah, not to get all weird, but it's just, that's what happened. All within a week. And so then he, went to his funeral. And so, yeah. So Craig, he and his father had the typical, he was rebellious. And my parents didn't like anyone, but they didn't like any of my friends. But not that's important. But we'll pick it up a little. So that was senior year. That was boom, boom. And then, oh, you know what? Well, no, we need to do that because we got to go down dark fast. But our inner circle of friends, there's Craig and he ended up dating Barb, and they ended up getting married, not this year or anything, but then there's Rich and Nora. Nora knew about Laura and I, and Nora was her best friend, and Nora lived here. It was right behind Larson, and she had the most abusive father that leave this poor girl in tears. So I was over at this house so often you just want to be there with someone. You don't know what you talk about, but you can at least make each other laugh somehow. And I wanted to be there so her father couldn't do anything to her. Not in a weird, like just verbal abuse and treat her like nothing. So there might have been more stuff, but I don't know, so I can't say. But I spent so much time here inner circle with just keeping each other, or just propping each other up. I mean, we're like, she's leaning that far over and I'm leaning that far over, and our heads are right here just going, ah. It's just, we don't want to fall down. That's all I know. And so by February, I'd spent so much time over here that we liked each other so much and everything else. So then I thought, I'll ask her out. And I remember this because I said, let's go to Pizza Hut. And it's not the Pizza Cottage, because that's where I go with people that didn't come out correct. This was a date. See, the Pizza Cottage with Laura was a fun summer part, because we hung out there during the summer. That was our summer hangout. So it wasn't out of the norm for us to go there, as all this is slowly coming back. But that's why we ended up at Pizza Cottage. But this Pizza Hut meant something totally different. That's the date Pizza Hut. And, oh my God, I've got a funny situation, but not now, because I want to keep it subtle. We're going uphill. Don't worry. We're climbing out of the bottom, but we're taking a little mid-base lodge. So we had this plan to go over to Pizza Hut, and I was going to go pick her up, and then in my mind it was a date. And I was going over to Rich's house, and he's in Streamwood, and this is the weekend my parents decided to go out, or my father had a function in Arizona, which was totally never had that ever happened. But they were in Arizona at some company thing, and my mother went, which that would never have happened. So they're two totally ironic, out of norm situations right there. So I was home alone, the knucklehead senior year, not Mr. Tom, oh God, Cruise in Risky Business, but I'm by myself. And the thing is, they left on like a Thursday, and that Friday I was home, and I get this weird phone call, and there's someone at the other end of the line, but they don't say anything. It's probably my parents checking up on me, but so I got all freaked out, and my mother has this jewelry box, and I hid the thing in my underwear drawer. And then Duffy, we had two dogs, Duffy and Yuli, and so I had to feed them and not electrocute Duffy, because that's a whole other thing. But so that was the setup. The house was alone. I was going over to Rich's on Saturday afternoon, before Rich's right here, and 503 Waverly. There's my 503, 504 in life, 504 Waverly, but 503 Church, 503 State at Michigan, or 503 State at Purdue, and 503 Church at Michigan, 504 Waverly. The numbers on our first sailboat growing up was 504. So anyway, it's weird. And so I'm going over to Rich's place, and it's February 6th, because I checked. I just double checked, so it's not good memory, but I double checked and it was right. And it was either about here, or more likely here, is when I'm coming down this way, because I had time to kill. He was either at work or something. He's over here, and I had to have been coming this way for what happened. And so my guess is I was just kind of buzzing around because his car wasn't there yet. And that's what I do. I just hover. I knew his mom, and maybe no one was home, because I knew his mom real well. Well, she's gone, but anyway. So we'll call it here. So you see where this is going. So I'm going around that street, and I'm coming up, and then I start going into this slide. And there's this big snowbank on this side. And the thing is, this is where life is so weird, is that I didn't purposely go into this. This wasn't my destructive power, I'm going to hurt myself type thing. I just go into this slide, and the thing is, I've done that. I've horsed around so much at this point where I'm like, I can handle it. I know exactly. I'm not panicking. I'm playing with it, but I'm playing into the slide. And I'm going around, and I'm not thinking anything of it, and wonder what's happening. So over here's a Ford station wagon, and he's coming in, la 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 la, and I'm coming in, kind of the same, la 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 la, and I start going into this, and before it's, too late, I do this, and I'm skidding sideways, keeping it right in the middle of the road, just like a warrior should, but then so does this guy. So I'm keeping it in the middle of the road, he's keeping it in the middle of the road, and what happens? Kadunk. And I remember watching him, and I'm sliding in, and I'm thinking, oh, this is going to set things back just a little. So I wake up. I was out. And again, the last thing I remember was, oh, this is going to set things back just a little bit. I'll walk away unscathed. And this is a Ford station wagon. Look at that. I even had to put on the wood grill, the wood trim in the back. This thing's a barge. That thing is indestructible. I didn't even bust a headlight. I mean, I put it on here, but it didn't break a headlight. It didn't do any damage at all to him. And I have no pictures because it looked so gruesome. What happened to the bug? Because it folded in half. Yeah, so I'm hoping that no one was really hurt in these images. These are, I just grabbed these. I had these earlier. I couldn't find them. But that's exactly what it looked like. Because the front end hit this doorpost, and that just buckled everything in. And the seat was halfway over to the other side, and yeah, I got out, and it was done. That thing was done. Super Sunbug, done. And so the tow truck comes, and gets this little VW carcass out of the way, and he comes in, and he backs into it. He keeps backing into it to make sure that it gets on the hook or something. And I'm in the ambulance, and it's like, well, wait a minute, why does that guy keep beating into my car? I didn't think it was going to be that bad. He's beating it back to here. No, not that far. And this guy is, wow, you got the police report? Okay. He just spins out. He's gone. Nothing. I mean, I never never saw the guy again. So my car gets hauled off, and I imagine I had to have called Rich and said, I might have even walked over. I don't want to say I did, but we'll go back to la 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 la. So that was there. That would not be unlike me to have done that. But when the ambulance came and they said, are you all right? Do you want to go? And I said, no, I'm fine. And say I hoofed it, because I knew where I was. And I probably came here still in kind of a, dazed, where it was like if you get whacked with a baseball bat on your side. Because what happened was, I don't want to go back, but just think when your seat folds over on your left, that it kicks in right where your kidneys are. Key point, foreshadowing. So it just felt like someone hit me really hard there. Like I did at Neil Dickinson. And so maybe that was it. That was God saying, hey, remember Neil Dickinson? Well, boom, I'll take care of you. And pick on a guy that's smaller than you. So I end up over at Rich's, and we're just like, well, what are you going to do? And so I got called Nora up and figure out what we're going to do tonight. At that point, his mom's there. June Larson is a ER nurse at Sherman Hospital. Jeez. And so she goes, I've seen it before when you don't look good, but I know why you don't look good. And that's paraphrasing what she said. And she goes, I can tell right now you're not doing good. And I said, yeah, but my parents were out of town, don't forget. So June said, you know what? Don't even think about fighting me on this one. And we end up, she drives me over. There you go. And I get checked in. It turns out I've got internal bleeding. And there's no doubt she would have saved my life. She saved my life because I was going to go home. Say done, done and done. And had I not gone over to Rich's house, that would have been it. Because my folks would not have been home for another day. So she checks me in. She tells records that she's my mother. Even though she worked there, she had to jump through some hoops and lie to make sure I got checked in. Not that I was resisting at this point. At this point, I was feeling pretty like, yeah, okay. I'm one of those where, okay, if you're going to make me do it, when I wanted to do it all along, it's just like finally, it's like the knee surgery. Yeah, okay, it'll be a little setback, but oh my God, I get to have knee surgery in Jill, and everyone's going to see that I have bad knees. And anyway, so she checks me in overnight. Okay, so now we're Saturday night. Brian's been in the wreck. Nora, I don't know how she handled it, but because that's a triple whammy on her, because Renee was her good friend. And Laura died, and her father, and then me, and then what? So it was like, and that poor girl, and she was she was like a little Irma. And, oh, God. So in fact, I got to stop just to collect my thoughts, because we're going uphill. Mid-Base Lodge was fun. We're going to go to the top of the peak on this one and have a little bit more fun. Then we'll get back to more fun. But hold on.